back to another episode of Comic Confidential, the weekly podcast where we bring you the hottest comic book, movie, and TV action. I'm your host, Kade, and alongside me today is a very special guest. Goes by the name of Amy Patterson.
Woohoo, that's me.
You're back, baby.
I'm back. I got the call up. I'm finally here.
You're very excited.
I am.
We are talking about Iron Man today, and you're like, oh my gosh, let me in. I'm back.
I'm so back. There, it's insane.
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to head straight into this episode because
Cool.
I'm covering a lot of news this week because I kind of been missing in it during the week. Mm-hmm. Dropped the ball. Well, I haven't dropped the ball. I just got life happening. You know, I'm moving house. And
I do not envy you one tiny bit.
So, you know, the listeners might only get one or two news stories this week, but we'll see how we go. You know, maybe I might surprise and like pull a Hail Mary and just, you know, maybe give them the 3 that I say I'm going to deliver.
Yep, it will.
But
maybe. Who knows?
Time will tell. I mean, we are recording this very early. It's a Tuesday. We normally record on a Friday or a Sunday. So,
yeah, that's probably my bad. So.
Nah. I'm moving. So it works perfectly for me.
The schedules align. Now, look, question first before, because I always say schedule and my sisters say schedule.
It's schedule.
No, it's not.
Why not?
Well, look, I've just always said schedule, so that's what I'm sticking with.
How do you say appreciate?
Appreciate.
Yeah.
And school. And I know, but I always say schedule. Anyway, off topic. This is my show now.
Yeah, you're running it.
No, it's not. Please continue.
Okay. Well, look, I'm going to talk about this week's brag board winner, and that is Caitlin Brennan. And Amy, you're going to really like this because she does a seriously great t-shirt design.
Seriously.
I
like where this is going.
Yeah, so this is a little pun, and for all you Harry Potter fans, that's you, Amy.
I'm wearing a Harry Potter shirt.
You are. I'm wearing a Superman shirt. We're repping our fandom.
We are.
It is a shirt design that has Sirius Black on the front with him looking very stale-faced, just saying, seriously.
I love it already.
It's amazing. So if you want to check out that shirt, I'm going to have it linked in the show notes, and I'll probably share it on the Facebook page when the time comes around because it's amazing. And for all those Potterhead fans out there, jump on board and support Caitlin because that is a kick-ass t-shirt design.
It's seriously great.
Now, Amy?
Yes.
I just got that pun.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I was
right.
hoping for some more feedback, but I was like, nope, it's gone. It's done.
I'm sorry. Puns aren't my game. You know, if you want puns, you talk to Troy, but Troy's not here today.
I was trying to fill in the shoes, but it's just not working. So.
Yeah. No, I'm enjoying it. I think the listeners are enjoying it a lot more too. Amy, let's get into a little bit of news before we get into our big story of Iron Man. Now, Legion star Dan Stevens teases a Professor X in season 2. Now, I wasn't going to include this news because it's we don't talk a lot about TV shows on here. But you love Professor X.
I do.
AKA Professor Sex. How are you didn't really watch Legion first season?
Look, I watched the first 2 episodes and then it sort of dropped off my radar.
Yeah.
But maybe it's time for a comeback.
Would you be interested in a younger Professor Sex?
Look, that's my favourite kind.
Yeah?
So, yeah, probably. I wonder if he'll have hair.
Maybe. Well, you know, he does have hair in the X-Men movies, but, you know, this whole storyline, timeline's all screwed up.
Oh, look, I don't know where I am when I watch one of those movies, so could be any time.
I think that's the best way to go into those movies. But I'm excited because in the first season of Legion, they did actually show the chair that is in X-Men.
Like the actual chair?
The actual chair. Oh. And apparently when it came onto set, there was almost like a ceremony of like welcoming it. It was like the holy grail of the Legion show.
They set up a shrine to the chair.
Pretty much. So I'm looking forward to that. And it'll be interesting to see if they do go down the younger route of actors and who they're going to use for that. Who knows? I'm not into casting. That's totally not my thing.
Nah.
But I'm pretty excited for that because anything that kind of links a TV show to an actual movie is like, It excites me. It's fun.
I love when that kind of thing happens and you can see everything sort of come, not full circle because it's the same kind of thing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's just like life's complete.
Yeah. You feel a happy feeling in your tummy, but not the kind that you're thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's move on. Rampage has moved its release date forward.
Oh.
Yeah. They want to get this movie out quickly.
to fill the gaps because we haven't seen any like in a little while of this kind of caliber.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we just had Avengers Infinity War shift to April. So I guess Rampage is like, look, we need as much time away from this movie. We're going to move forward as well.
Yeah, which is fair because everyone's going to be watching that Avengers movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this Avengers movie is really a freight train that's going to be just barging through cinema history. Mm-hmm. You're going to be crazy to try release your movie within a week or two of this.
Yep.
So this is probably the best move that the Rampage movie's ever done.
Yep.
Are you going to go see this?
I'm for sure going to go see this.
You want some Rock?
I do. Look, as much as we badmouth him, I like his movies.
Everyone loves The Rock.
I do love The Rock. They're easy to watch. Look, I'm not expecting there to be some crazy plot twist.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go see it.
He's going to be in a khaki shirt as well.
Definitely.
It's now the Rock staple.
Yeah.
We actually put up a meme in our listener community and it had the Rock in 3 different scenes from 3 different movies looking like it was all the same.
I thought it was all this. I just like briefly swipe past it. I'm like, there's the Rock in Welcome to the Jungle or whatever it was. And I'm like, hang on, no. He doesn't age, that man.
He doesn't age, not at all. He looks beautiful. He just keeps getting bigger. That's how you know the Rock is getting older. He just gets bigger, more muscly.
Yep, that's right. He builds mass, not wrinkles.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to keep growing his trap so big it's going to look like he has 3 heads.
Yeah, I mean, he's nearly there.
He's almost there. That's why he got that big tattoo on the bull on like one pec, because that pec's also going to grow big as a head.
He'll have a bull head and a normal head and a to be confirmed head. 3 head?
Rent that space.
Yeah.
We can rent that space. We'll put a Comic Confidential logo on that other pec. And, we'll just reel in.
And just watch the rewards come in.
Exactly. That's a wise investment.
Yeah.
Now, look, Shazam had another photo leak.
Yep.
And this looks amazing. Look, I was pretty skeptical on last week's episode about how this suit's looking.
Yep.
But I now saw the front and this thing's looking pretty cool.
It does look cool. The photo too I love because he's so not focused on anything in that photo. It's just like, bam, there he is in his suit. He's looking sexy too, if I might add.
You did say that. You said like, he's looking so buff and hot.
He's almost as big as The Rock, I think were my exact words.
I think they were.
Yeah. I mean, like I was saying to you, I've seen Zachary Levi in Chuck ages and ages and ages ago as this skinny little dweeb. And now he's Shazam. Yeah. So that's going to be really interesting. I am keen as a bean.
I can't wait for this movie. I think the more I see from this, the more I'm liking it. And I've seen, about 3 set photos now?
Yep.
And I'm enjoying what I'm seeing. We're going to have to get an official release photo here sometime soon, surely.
Surely. And they're going to have to make it amazing because if it doesn't look good, everyone's going to be real upset.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are saying this is the most comic accurate suit ever. And, fair enough. It totally is. But when you go from comic books to real life, it doesn't always look good.
No.
This isn't looking fantastic. But when I saw the front, I'm liking it more. But I'm going to wait for an official release before I say, I'm in love with this or I hate it. So,
yeah.
Superman suit looks cool. Yeah. Batman suit looks cool. I think this is going to go in pretty much the same vein.
That'd be good.
Now, Amy, this is a you heard it here first moment.
My favourite kind of moment.
Absolutely. So in Avengers Infinity War, Hulkbuster toy may have spoiled a big moment from the movie. Now, if you don't want to hear about this, maybe skip forward.
Cover your ears.
2 to 5 minutes because I called this as soon as the trailer dropped. And in the photo, we see a Hulkbuster action figure and it contains the Hulk busting out of it.
Yes.
Actually fitting to its name.
Well, yes, it's good that now we have the Hulk busting out of
the armor.
The armor.
Yeah.
So I think you might be onto something here.
Yeah.
You have been saying it for a while.
I have been saying, you see the trailer and you see the Hulkbuster suit jumps very Hulk-like. And he ain't fooling nobody. They didn't fool me. I guess they fooled everybody else.
They pulled the shroud over my eyes.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to link that on our Facebook page as well because that right there, my friends, is a you heard it here first.
It's going to happen.
It is. Now, Amy, something dropped this week that you're very excited about.
Yeah, you can't not have no Disney on the show when I'm on here.
Yeah, I know. I think this is fate. This is legitimately fate that this came out. You're on this week's episode.
I know. It's meant to be. There was a Seriously shirt. Everything is aligning. So we got our first Mary Poppins teaser trailer, right?
Yeah.
And it sees Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins drop in on some old friends. And the nostalgia is real.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop smiling.
She's very sassy.
She is.
She's a sassy Mary Poppins, and I like it. But I just can't wait for that to come out. I'm probably going to watch it like 5 times in the first week. So
You reckon?
Yep.
This is a movie that's going to break $1 billion.
I think you are right. And if it doesn't, I don't know what I do. But
You'll be that person going back to make sure it hits $1 billion.
I'll spend that much money to make sure it does.
Yeah, no. And this looks like it's a actual sequel to the first movie.
Yeah, I sort of didn't know what direction they were taking. Like, I knew there was something on the cards and all that kind of stuff, and Emily Blunt had been cast, but I'd sort of been staying away from it. And it was good because now I've got that nostalgic feeling from the first sort of teaser trailer. But yeah, it's definitely Mary Poppins Returns.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do, but also in conjunction with Emily Blunt, Lin-Manuel Miranda is in it, and he is a musical genius. So good things can only come of this.
Very much a fan of him.
Oh, so much.
What's some of the work that he's done?
So probably most notable is his work on the Broadway musical Hamilton.
Okay.
He wrote, sung, danced his way through that.
He just owned it.
He did. I don't know if he won a Tony for that. I can't actually remember. Anyway, he also wrote a lot of music for Moana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
You only like that because that's a rock movie?
yes. And The Rock is pretty much in it.
Yeah.
So looks just like him. Anyway, Mary Poppins. Let's watch it. This week we're continuing our journey down the road to Infinity War by going back to where it all began. 10 years ago with 2008's Iron Man, the very first entry into the MCU's Phase 1 and our very first introduction to Robert Downey Jr.'s now iconic Tony Stark.
That's right. Back when nobody except Kevin Feige could possibly predict that 18 movies, $14 billion later, we would have the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we have now. Mm-hmm. Back when Phil Coulson was a major movie player and not just that TV guy. Back when the Avengers Initiative and those incredible after-credit scenes. And most importantly, back before Iron Man 3 was ever a fucking thing.
Yeah, we had to have the first one before we had the third one.
Yeah, that was unfortunate that third one got made. And if you don't agree with me, fight me at ComicConPod on Twitter.
Yep, you got to shape up to him and all the kinds of things. So
yeah. So, Amy, tell me the original movie synopsis.
Ooh, all right, this is the original movie synopsis. After being held captive in an Afghan cave, billionaire engineer Tony Stark and his goatee create a unique weaponized suit of armor to fight evil.
You like that goatee?
Yeah. You got me there. You stumped me.
Got her. Okay, so the cast included Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, not Don Cheadle, but Terrence Howard as John Rhodes and
James Rhodes.
James Rhodes? Did I say Johns? Yes. Oh my God, I'm thinking of Martian Manhunter. How weird's that? Wrong property. Yeah. And Jeff Bridges as Obadiah Stane.
Yep, that's right. We also had Clark Gregg, my homeboy, who's Phil Coulson, Jon Favreau as Happy Hogan, and Paul Bettany as the voice of Jarvis.
And this movie was also directed by Jon Favreau.
Fun fact, I didn't know that.
Didn't you?
No.
Ah, yes. Oh. He also directed the second one.
But not the third.
No, Shane Black did the third one, so he can go do whatever Shane Black is doing right now, which I'm sure is not much.
No, not at all.
Actually, he's directing the new Predator movie that is getting released later this year.
Oh.
So fingers crossed he can actually do something good there.
Yeah, okay. Now, tell me about some of the reception of this movie when it first came out.
When this first came out, IMDb rated it at a 7.9 out of 10. Mm-hmm. Rotten Tomatoes at 94% certified fresh with an audience score of 91%. So that's pretty close there.
Yeah.
Metacritic gave it 79 and Cinema Score gave it an A. Now, the financials are going to be interesting because we're so used to these Marvel movies making billions of dollars.
So much.
Black Panther is just about to cross the $1 billion mark and it hasn't even been released everywhere in the world.
That's crazy.
So that movie is probably going to cross $1 billion in the next month.
Yep.
But this movie opened to $98.6 million. Mm-hmm. Had a domestic total of $318 million, which is number 9 in the MCU. So out of 18 films...
It's not done bad, has it?
It's not done bad. For the first one released, it's dead set right in the middle.
Yep.
Worldwide, in foreign markets, it made $266 million. Worldwide, it brought home $585 million, which isn't bad.
No.
And all on a little budget of $140 million.
So it did pretty well for itself.
It did very well for itself, considering that this was kind of the first real venture into the MCU.
It had to break the market, I guess, this film. So...
It did well. Now,
Yep.
Amy, what did you first think when this movie came out?
Look, so 10 years ago, I was in high school.
Wow, how old were you 10 years
I
ago?
was 17 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yes. So I was going out on a Thursday night with my friends to watch Iron Man.
Yeah.
That's the mindset I had while going into it. So I didn't have high hopes when I first went to watch it. Like now, I've obviously developed as a human being, and I love all things superhero movies. But this was kind of really one of the first sort of major action movies. I'd watched, Teen Titans and all that kind of stuff, as everyone knows. But so I didn't really know what to expect, but I remember walking out being like, that was amazing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember we had our Spider-Man movies kind of before this, and I was like absolutely in love with like comic book cinema then.
Yep.
Around the same time, we got our X-Men movies, and they were just kicking ass. And then this came out. Holy moly, this changed the game for me. It was
a different world, wasn't it?
I was a sprightly 20-year-old boy, with dreams of making it big in Hollywood. No, not really, but I saw
an aspiring actor.
An aspiring actor who somehow fell into podcasting.
Yep, same thing.
But this movie absolutely blew me away when it first came out.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. Like you said, X-Men and all of that kind. I think because it had been around for a while, this then coming out and being something completely different was very refreshing, even to a sprightly 17-year-old. So,
And what was interesting about it is this is one of the first, I guess, real hero movies that came out in modern era.
Yep.
Don't include any old stuff here in this.
No.
That the hero wasn't a superhero. He was just a guy.
That's right. And an obnoxious
yes.
guy. He took a little bit to like, I guess, in this film, which was because, he's kind of not a hero. In the
not at all.
Half of this movie even, he's kind of a dick.
Yep.
So, yeah, very different. Now, we've talked about how we first felt about it. How do you feel about it now? Does it still hold up?
Yeah, you know what? I watched this just the other night and, man, I fucking love this movie. This movie is amazing, and this would definitely be probably top 5, top 3 almost Marvel movies.
That's high.
It's very high. I absolutely rate this movie. It is amazing. And, for a comic book movie that's 10 years old, man, this still holds up.
I know. Even the CGI in the movie, I didn't know, apparently, someone tell me if this is wrong because I'll rub it in my husband's face. He told me that the house, Tony Stark's house, is all CGI.
Yes. That's
ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you are lying to me. And then I Googled it, but couldn't find a reliable source. So thank you for confirming. It was just, they had the old technology. They had old phones and old things like that. But I still related to it so much, 10 years later. And I still loved it just as much. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, this movie kind of hits you straight away with how old it is, with basically the first scene and Tony Stark's riding in the back of this trooper
Fun V.
Fun V.
Yeah.
And one of the army guys is, can I take a picture for my MySpace
I know.
page?
I couldn't believe it.
It's like, wow, this movie really is old.
You old.
It is old as the day. And the flip phones in this.
The one, I think Tony Stark's got the one where it flips up to be horizontal.
Yeah.
I wanted one of them so bad when I was a teenager.
I think everyone did.
Didn't ever get one. Now I've got, an iPhone, but it was the shit back then.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And it's kind of amazing to see even just now how far technology's come in just 10 years from a movie to, I guess, what we're kind of rocking now.
Yeah, that's right.
Amy, what would you have done different?
Look, I've just said how much I love the movie and can still relate to it, but I was having a bit of a debate with my husband whilst watching it because neither of us have watched it in so long, so we thought it would be good to sit down and watch it and, try and get back in the mindset. He made a comment that if he could have done anything different, he wouldn't have made Iron Man's suit red.
Really?
He would have kept it the silver.
Ah.
And I disagree. I like the red and the gold look. I feel like it makes him feel more menacing, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, it gives him that oomph. But yeah, that was something that I was like, that's not anything I would have ever thought of. But yeah, a silver Iron Man suit.
Well, we do see, like, I guess a chrome version of the suit before it
Yeah.
gets painted, and
Yeah.
it does look pretty
And that's what he was
badass.
talking about. He's like, he should have kept it. But then all I could think of in my head was the Silver Surfer. And I was like, no, bad juju, make it red.
Yeah.
So not something I would have done different, but I thought it was a very interesting take on something that someone else might have done different.
Yeah, right.
What about you?
Look, the thing I probably would have changed is maybe our villain. I think this is kind of, and it's not just going to stay with Iron Man, because I feel like this was our first movie into the MCU, and it kind of started the MCU curse with great villains getting killed off,
Yeah, that's
and
true.
you can't reuse them.
No.
Very
Because they're dead.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of disappointing. But I mean, Tony Stark as Iron Man in this is simply amazing, and it was really reflective of its time with Iron Man, and Tony Stark, aka Robert Downey Jr.,
Yeah.
who was going through so much controversy, who was like essentially the real life version of Tony Stark.
That's
you know,
right.
he was a bad boy, he was a playboy. He was kind of on the rocks of life. Very much what Tony Stark is almost portrayed to be.
Yeah.
For them to get Tony to be Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
because that's what it's like. It's not like Robert Downey Jr. is playing Tony
No.
Stark. It's Tony Stark's playing Robert Downey
You're
Jr.
absolutely right. Yep.
He absolutely owns the performance.
It wouldn't, if you had anybody else in that role, which I think we might touch on a little bit later in the show, I don't think it would have done as well.
No, not
Not
at
at
all.
all.
Because we do have a little bit of trivia that we're going to touch on a little bit later.
Yep.
What do you think is Gwyneth Paltrow in this movie?
I feel like she develops a lot more into the second movie.
Yeah.
This first movie, I feel like she's just this meek little Pepper Potts. If
Yeah.
that makes, she's got a couple of fighting words, you know, like, oh, I bought myself something nice, thanks for that, or whatever. But she's not how I remember Pepper Potts from all of the, you know, from this movie onwards. She kind of develops a bit more as a character. So she was a bit so-so for me in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair, because we're actually also going to cover
Yes.
that a
Yep.
little bit later on, because I was very much under the same impression that she was very kind of just wishy-washy.
Yeah.
She would kind of come into a scene, say maybe 2 lines of dialogue, and then kind of just float out
Yeah.
and let Tony Stark do what he needs to do.
Let him steal the scene, pretty much.
Terrence Howard as James Rhodes.
I'm glad they changed him.
Are you?
Yeah, look, nothing against that performance because I thought it was good as well, but you can't beat Don Cheadle.
No, he's really made
Yeah.
a name for himself in that role.
That's right. And like, I didn't even know his name, like Terrence Howard, as the actor. I knew his face.
Yes.
I knew who he was. Whereas, you know, I know Don Cheadle's name. I put his face to that name. Sort
Yeah,
of thing.
absolutely.
So it's a different ballpark between the two characters. They bring something different each to it. I guess the James Rhodes character is kind of a silent, sassy partner, I guess, if we want to call him that. And yeah, but Don Cheadle is my preferred Rhodes.
Yeah.
What about you?
Fair enough. No, I agree. Don Cheadle really owns the role. Terrence Howard, not a bad guy, not a bad actor, but you know what? He absolutely doesn't fit the bill in this MCU.
No.
Which I guess is probably lucky. And I think the only reason that he's not Rhodey anymore is because he had a scheduling conflict in the second movie.
I wonder what he did.
I don't know. I probably should have researched that, but
well.
who knows? But I guess it worked out well in the end.
A blessing in disguise.
Definitely.
All
Now,
right.
Jeff Bridges as our villain. Was he menacing enough?
He's a big man.
He's a very big man.
I didn't realize he was such a big man. Well, I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. is a small man. I never met either of them.
Well, you see, Robert Downey Jr. actually went and did a lot of physical training and I guess fighting, practicing to...
I've seen some of the videos of, you know, he's not a young man.
No.
Robert Downey Jr.
He would have been about 42 when this movie was filmed.
But he is fit.
He is very
Holy,
fit.
Could not believe it. But yeah, so he's not a small man, I guess. And then you put him next to someone like Jeff Bridges who makes him look smaller. I thought he was a menacing presence. The character itself, I thought, was kind of a bit predictable. maybe it's just me looking back on it now because we've seen so many of these storylines play out. Maybe back when I was 17, I would have been like, oh, he's the villain. But so it could have been warped a little bit by all these MCU films that have come out since. All in all, I thought he was pretty good. I thought his death scene was a bit shit.
Yes, I'll agree with you.
That fight could have gone on a little bit longer. And I don't normally say that because the MCU fights always go on forever. Or there's a fight and then there's a fight and then there's a fight. But yeah, I feel like it was a bit of a anticlimactic ending.
Yeah,
him.
absolutely. And if you really think about it, there wasn't much for Iron Man to really do in this movie. Because I guess we get him, he builds his suit in his little cave.
Yep.
By the way, you know that was a set built?
What?
Yeah, that whole cave.
They did well for $140 million budget.
Absolutely. You can kind of see where they kind of spent a little bit of this budget. And another little fun fact is that they air conditioned that cave because they were in there for so long.
Yeah, it would have been stinky.
Definitely. But Jeff Bridges as the villain, super imposing as a normal guy.
Yes, yep.
But when he kind of gets in this suit, it's just Marvel luck that he was able to replicate it almost down to the T.
Yep.
I mean, sure, he got his hands on the very first version of the Iron Man suit, but I mean, that was made in a damn cave. Yeah. Like, this thing should not be able to have the technology that Tony Stark's has.
No way.
And it's kind of like just one of these little loopholes where it's like,
we'll make it work.
Yeah, you just have to believe that he's made a suit that's as formidable.
Well, that's the thing. He, like you say, he used some of the nearly all of the parts of the original one. I can't even find a bobby pin I used like a week ago.
Yeah.
So how did they find this whole suit in the desert? Anyway, we look too much into these things.
Well, we do look too much into it. And like one of the major things that they kind of overlook in the suit build is Tony Stark's, like, I guess he ends up with a Mark III suit in this movie. His Mark 1 didn't have any AI into it, didn't have Jarvis.
No.
Whereas the Ironmonger suit, which it's effectively is, has the AI built into it without any knowledge of that.
That's right.
And that's where I kind of feel like the stretch between believable and not, the illusion's gone there.
Yeah. There's obviously been some data sharing between these two to be able to get to this point. And I guess that's how we see it sort of end with the fact that, you didn't deal with the freezing or whatever.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, they sort of shoot themselves in the foot because he's gotten so far and then, oops.
Yeah.
Forgot to put my antifreeze on or whatever. Anyway, all in all, he was pretty good, I thought.
Movie magic.
Yep.
Now, Amy, is it a hit? Is it split? Or is it shit?
It's a hit for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't not give it a hit.
I agree. I think this movie was fantastic. Absolute hit. I mean, it does have its downfalls and it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the Marvel Universe to kind of follow in those, I guess, downfalls in the sense that you're always, usually in these solo movies, you're going up a bad version of yourself. That bad person is usually someone very close. Little plot holes that kind of make it just a little bit too convenient for villains and, I guess, heroes to succeed where they need to.
Yeah. To rise to the occasion.
Yeah. And I guess a lot of this is going to be explained when we move on to our little trivia points.
Yes.
So we might as well get into that now.
Let's do it.
So in the trivia part of this section here, according to Jon Favreau, when making this film, there was a lot of pressure for it to succeed because it is the first Marvel movie.
Yep.
And Marvel was using its characters as collateral when they received the $520 million and a 7-year deal, which is called a non-recluse debt facility for those playing at home, allow them to make the original films based on their properties. Now, if the film did not succeed, Marvel would have lost the intellectual property rights to their library.
That is a gamble if I have ever seen one.
I can't believe that. It's literally this whole MCU was gambled on a film that had nothing going for it.
And it didn't have a foot in the door.
Exactly.
Nothing.
Nothing.
It was, I mean, it's gone well for them.
Well,
but
the thing is, a couple of years before this, Marvel was selling off its characters to Sony, to Fox, because they were on the verge of bankruptcy.
So then to do this, It's a big risk.
They got some big Iron Man balls going on here.
Big iron balls. All right, what other trivia have we got? Agent Phil Coulson, who is played by Clark Gregg, as we said a bit earlier, was actually originally only a much smaller part in the film. In fact, the character was only first called just Agent. And as the filming went on, it sort of came apparent that Clark Gregg's chemistry with all the other cast members was going to do well in the movie. So they added more and more scenes and, gave him a name, which did well because, now they've got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so much have spun off this, Avengers, everything. So
it's really interesting at how lucky this movie got.
Yeah, we talk about movie magic. It had real life movie magic.
This legitimately had Hollywood magic behind it, because for that to happen and for that knock-on effect for Coulson really to be the reason that the Avengers come together in the Avengers is stupid luck.
I know. There is no way you could have foreseen that. It is just dumb luck. They got to that point and were like, hey, you know what's going to be really good and it's going to tie everything together? This one character who we happened to give a little bit more credit to in that first film we made.
Yeah. So you know what? This really shows that if you get like one of those super minor roles in a movie and you act your ass off,
you could go places.
You could go places, like take every little chance that you can get.
That's right.
Now, one note that I haven't actually put onto the trivia here that is really going to blow your mind is that a lot of this movie was ad-libbed because they started shooting this before the script was even completed.
Ooh,
and
risky.
Very risky. And Jon Favreau took the risk on this because he thought the story was more important with action rather than dialogue.
Superhero movie.
Movie. Now, it's interesting because Gwyneth Paltrow had a lot of trouble keeping up with Robert Downey Jr. and so on because of all the ad-libbing.
And I wonder if that's maybe why we see her more as a bit of a placeholder.
Yes.
Because she couldn't fight her way to to be anything in the scene. And then as, we got the second movie, not the third because we don't speak of it. She sort of came into the character a little bit more.
Absolutely. I think in the second one, there's probably a script that was actually written for that. But for this, the first movie, you've got $520 million debt going against Marvel for this.
Yep.
You've got every character that you owns, film rights on the line of this. And you go in and you ad-lib the movie.
So many things could have gone wrong.
It's absolutely amazing that this movie made it this far. And it's amazing the MCU made it this far, banking on this. And it really shows that Gwyneth Paltrow actually did say that she had so much trouble keeping up with everyone else.
Yep.
And that's kind of why she comes into these scenes and she's like, she seems speechless, or it's kind of like short of words.
Yeah, not a lot to do. You know what probably my favourite scene is with her, where I feel, and I think it's because she has a task in the scene, it probably wasn't ad-libbed, is where she's replacing the chess piece.
Yeah, right.
For Tony. They're having an interaction and things like that. She's not standing off to the side, just standing off to the side.
Just standing there doing whatever she was going to be doing.
So, there you go. Fair point. That's probably a lot of what we see.
Now, I was looking at that scene and I was kind of wondering how the movie magic was working with that, because it looked real. Like her hand was going into a cavity.
Chest. Yep.
It was a dummy, but the way they did this scene was a dummy was on that bed, but Tony Stark was standing behind it with his head in its spot.
What?
Yeah. So the way they had to film the scene was at this funny angle, and if you go back and watch it, you'll kind of see that the camera doesn't change from this angle.
Yeah, it's kind of down a bit low, actually, now that you pointed out. Yeah.
So Tony Stark is standing there just on this funny angle with his head propped on, I guess, a dummy's body.
Wow.
With her hand actually going into her chest.
Okay, so $140 million budget was not spent in this part of the film.
No, but I really like practical effects like that because you could easily fudge it and CGI it.
It probably would have looked more shit.
Exactly. It could have looked way shitter. Way shitter. I want to touch on a couple of parts about the CGI actually. That the Iron Man suit that they used in this had over 400 parts to it.
Whew. I wonder how much they changed that going from film to film to film.
Absolutely. Well, in this movie, when they used to film his scenes, he used to wear a fair bit of the suit because, a lot of it is, of course, CGI.
Yep.
But he used to wear the head mask, the chest piece, and I think the hand gauntlets, because he had to try and replicate how the suit would work, because it's not going to be as fluid as a normal suit, as a normal person.
Yeah,
because
it'd be heavier, clunkier.
Exactly.
Yep.
So he used to kind of wear, I guess, the exoskeleton of it to replicate how his movements would be in a real suit. So these are all these like little behind the scenes movie magic parts that you can easily overlook now, because now he just rocks up wearing a mocap suit covered in dots, and he just does what he needs to. But back then, completely different story.
Yeah. And they pulled it off.
They absolutely did pull it off. Now, talking about Pepper Potts, Rachel McAdams, actually, was Jon Favreau's first choice to play Pepper Potts, but she turned down the role. But, you know, she's still in the MCU in Doctor Strange.
She came back. Ooh.
Pretty interesting choice, because Rachel McAdams back then was kind of more known for her comedic roles.
Yeah, she wasn't a real... She hadn't done too many... Well, you know, there's The Notebook or whatever. Different ballpark, I guess.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, that's a fair point. Looking back on it, I probably can't see her in that role. I don't know if that's because Gwyneth Paltrow is now in my head as Pepper Potts, or I don't get the feel from that.
I know, and I feel like that Gwyneth Paltrow makes a great Pepper Potts, because Pepper Potts has this kind of, I guess, class to her. And not to say that Rachel McAdams doesn't have this class, but I just feel like Gwyneth Paltrow is so on another level. You know, she's so prim and proper.
Yeah, she is. And maybe that's too... We keep getting back to the fact that she's, you know, not super present. Maybe she's just a little bit stuck up.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe.
But that's... Yeah, and like we've said, nothing against Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts, because I don't think, like I've said, you could cast anyone different in this movie. We probably didn't touch on that. One thing I wouldn't change is any of the casting, except for Don Cheadle.
Fair call.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the only reason that Gwyneth Paltrow took this movie?
Why?
She lived 10 minutes down the road from the studio.
I mean, convenience should always be up the top of the list.
Absolutely. She could go home between breaks and be with her children.
That is how life should be. If you can score a role that, you know, and it's a good role for her. It's
absolutely
done so much for her, and still be at home and be a mother and all that kind of stuff. Whew. She's done well.
Now, I kind of wish I knew how much... I keep calling him Tony Stark, and I know he's not Tony Stark, but I'm just running with it. He is Tony Stark. I wish I knew how much Tony Stark got paid to be in this, because I guess he's commanding more and more money with each film, because he is essentially the MCU now.
That's right. And, you know, we look at like Spider-Man Homecoming, which has just sort of come out. Such a prominent role in that.
Absolutely.
All of the Captain America sort of thing, Civil War, such a prominent role. Yeah, it's a fair call, I guess.
Yeah.
It's the basis for a lot of things in this universe. So.
Definitely. It'd be interesting to see if we're going to get Tony Stark past Avengers Infinity War.
I'll be sad.
Yeah.
But, you know, like 10 years is quite a long time to have one thing. Friends only ran for 10 years.
The best things only run for 10 years. Smallville.
Yep, exactly.
So I just want to touch on a couple more casting things. Nicolas Cage and Tom Cruise were interested in playing Iron Man.
Whew.
Damn.
No.
And get this, Cruise in particular was going to act in and produce the film.
It would have just been Mission Impossible.
Yeah, exactly. And he was Tom Cruise was pretty big 10 years ago.
Back then, yeah, definitely.
Mission Impossible was one of the best films going around at that time. One of the biggest budgets for a blockbuster going around. Man, he could have changed how everything went here.
Yeah, they could have lost their $520 million in a 7-year deal. They could have done the same thing. Who knows? We'll never know.
And the final one I want to talk about is Paul Bettany recorded all his lines as Jarvis in just 2 hours.
It's a sweet paycheck, isn't it?
It is a sweet paycheck. He's gone on the record of saying, like, this was the easiest money I've ever made. Went in there for 2 hours, made a shit ton of money, and then went on holiday with my wife.
That's look, a lot of people have done good from this movie then.
Definitely. And it's super interesting to see, because, like, you compare Jarvis' voice now, because it's the same person who's playing it. Paul Bettany plays Vision.
Yep.
And Jarvis sounds lazy in this movie.
He does, doesn't he?
He sounds like very laid back, like he doesn't care. But now he's like very prim, proper.
What can I do
He's
for
been
you?
Pepper Poppified.
Yeah. He has. Yeah, he's very sort of everyone's beck and call, I guess.
Yes.
Or Tony's beck and call anyway, in these new films, but he's not such a big presence in, you need him for the suit.
Yeah.
But he's not Jarvis.
That's
I guess.
right.
So, yeah, interesting.
Now, one thing that I want to really talk about. Now, I'm going to make a bit of a thing about this because this is something that I noticed, and I think is something you might want to talk about, is the kill count in this movie. It was astronomically high.
Yes.
Like really, really high.
Right. Tell me the numbers.
Okay. Iron Man in this one movie killed 56 people.
Whew.
56 people. Ironmonger killed 3 people.
And he was the villain.
He was the villain. Raza, who was one of the villains, killed 1 person.
Yep.
And Pepper Potts even joins the ball game with 1 kill.
Who did she kill?
She killed Stain.
Oh, yeah. She pushed the button, of course.
She pushed the button.
Right.
Now, I don't know how this really compares with any other Marvel movie, but that's a lot of kills by your hero.
Yeah. Especially, and this is where my point comes in that we sort of touched briefly on before we started recording. The suit is sort of sold in the middle part of the film, let's say, because first part's in the cave, as not a weapon.
Yes.
It's an air flight simulating suit or whatever. Then he gets cranky that his weapons are being sold and people are getting hurt. And the next thing you know, the suit has weapons in it.
Yeah, and it's something that's not even touched on in, I guess, Tony Stark's building of this suit.
No, he just has it.
Just has it. Because he kind of has this epiphany that he's doing no good. He wants to close down that part of Stark Industries. We're no longer manufacturing weapons. But I'm pretty sure I'm happy to chuck $10,000 worth of bullets in my left shoulder, $100,000 worth of rockets in the right shoulder.
Yep.
It's quite polarizing to what his beliefs are to what he actually delivers.
That's right. And look, it's the first kind of film in the MCU that, like we've touched on, so it probably wasn't in the forefront of my mind back then. But looking at it now, it's definitely something I noticed.
Yeah.
So
because you kind of go through these movies and they seem to not want to kill everyone.
Yeah, that's right.
They will only really kill the villain at the end if they need to, which in a Marvel movie is a 9 times out of 10 thing that's going to happen. For Iron Man to kill 56 people in his first outing is quite ridiculous.
Definitely.
But I'm going to tell you some numbers that are going to really push you over the edge for ridiculousness.
Tell me.
Mr. Sunday Movies, who has another podcast called The Weekly Planet, released a video of Iron Man. And now this is only up to Ultron.
Okay.
And in that video that he released, it says that Iron Man has up to, and this is including aliens and things like that, because of Chitauri, up to 75,000 kills in the MCU.
Holy. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of bodies.
That's a lot of bodies. And I kind of understand you're going to war with these aliens, but man, those aliens are only under control from someone else.
That's right. There's still something in there. And you can go both ways. I get it. You waste a lot of time and you can get yourself hurt, not killing things. And that's a whole nother topic. But to be the first kind of movie, well, with the first one, not up to Ultron, and to have that high of a count already is, it's pretty heavy.
It's very heavy. I mean, the guy only killed 76 robots.
So things that you should kill.
Things that you should kill.
76 of.
Yeah.
75,000 of living beings.
Yeah. Insane, isn't it?
Oh, that's crazy.
I mean, those Chitauri will have children back home.
Yeah. It will be sad now.
They'll all be very sad. But guys, let us know what you think of the first Iron Man. Let me know. Do you think it's a hit? Do you think it's a split? Do you think it's a shit? And should Tony Stark be put up on war crimes? Because he literally flew into restricted airspace and killed a whole bunch of people.
And crashed a plane.
And he destroyed an F-22, wasn't it?
Yep.
Damn. Guy is dead set a terrorist.
He's a loose rocket.
And that's going to do it for another episode. Stay tuned for next week's show where we review the latest video game adaptation / reboot Lara Croft Tomb Raider.
Dun, dun, dun.
I am totally not looking forward to that episode and I'm probably going to change it.
So if it's different next week, you'll know why.
Yeah, look, we're kind of wanting to do this like Road to Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of using it as an excuse to go back and watch maybe like the first movies from like each of those franchises. So
Your favourites.
All the favourites.
Yep.
And maybe like jumping to the first movie of, I guess, Phase 1, which was Iron Man.
Yep.
Maybe we'll jump to the last movie of Phase 1, which I believe is Avengers.
Oh, look, once it gets past sort of Iron Man, everything gets all schmozzle.
Yeah,
and I don't know where I am.
That's fair, but I think Troy and I were speaking just the other day, and we're thinking we might go back and rewatch Captain America: The First Avenger.
Ooh.
Because we're talking, and we've only seen that movie once.
So have I.
Oh.
Ooh, little Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
His head looks big on that body.
Now, that is some terrible CGI.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
you should watch it and then discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. We might have to get you in on that one, Amy.
Okay.
It's
done.
good. It's good to have you back. I think the people are going to enjoy it, and they're going.
I'm glad.
They're going to be petitioning for more Amy, less Troy.
Oh, look, I'm all down for that. No, I'm not. Troy, please come back. Tell me the numbers and the puns. No.
No one wants that.
All right.
Amy, people can find us on Facebook. That's Facebook. Just search Comic Confidential. We also have a listener community on there. That's Comic Confidential Listener Community.
Done.
Getting it all mixed up. Join that group. There's legends in there. Absolute legends. There's a brag board. If you want something that you want to shout out to the world.
Like a Seriously shirt.
Seriously shirt. That is so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to buy one.
Yeah, I think I will too. I'll add it to my Harry Potter shirt collection.
How many shirts you got?
4.
4?
Yep.
Damn. That's a lot.
And I had a Harry Potter robe, like full Ravenclaw robe. I don't know where it's gone.
How'd you lose that? Is it the cloak of invisibility?
I wish. No, I think my sister may have stolen it, to be perfectly honest with you.
Call her out now.
Yeah, Madison, give me my robe back.
If anyone knows Madison, go get
I want my
robe.
pink shirt back. What else have you guys got?
We've got an Instagram and Twitter that's at Comic Con Pod. So if you want to fight us, that's the place to do it. It's going to be Troy, not me.
Yep.
And we also have a website, Amy.
You do have a website, that's comicconpod.com, where you can see past episodes, future episodes, and everything in between. And I totally nailed that.
You still got it. We also have a Patreon. If you want to support the show from as little as $1 a month, that's patreon.com/Comic Con Pod.
That's it.
That's it. That's all the housekeeping done.
Yeah.
been-
All the important parts.
All the important parts. But thanks for listening.
As always, I'm Amy.
I'm Kade.
And this has been Comic Confidential.
Cheers.
Peace. I'll do a Troy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You got to do something real weird. He does something to like creep people. He creeps me out. What was that?
I don't know. I snorted.
Creep me out.
Success.
If you love this podcast, then head over to comicconpod.com to check out the other incredible shows on our network.
You can also support us on Patreon from as little as $1 a month.
You'll get early access to all our shows, plus secret supporter content that's not available to the public.
Head over to patreon.com/ComicConPod to find out more.